Hi there, this is Vanessa Warwick welcoming you to a short interview with author Edward Tudor, and we're going to talk to Edward about his new historical novel, A Message Delayed, Tales from the Welsh Marches. And Edward, where did the inspiration for the book come from? Because I understand that you've got a particular interest in castles, and I believe there are more castles per population head in Wales than virtually anywhere else in the world. So was that an influence?
More than anywhere else
Definitely.
in the world. And everybody thinks of the castles being the Edwardian ones around the North Wales coast. But there were an awful lot of castles all over Wales. And Montgomeryshire, which is my part of Wales, there's a lot of castles on the border. So if you go from Ludlow to Montgomery, there are 4 castles in between those, and that's only 10 miles.
Right.
So there's a huge amount of castles in Wales. And the Shropshire-Montgomeryshire border I was born in Llangollen, which is in Montgomeryshire, and so I know the borders quite well. And that's where the inspiration for the novel came from, yes.
And of course, the castles have played a huge part in Welsh history as well, haven't they? And
oh, absolutely.
it was part of what you wanted to do to actually weave them into the story?
The number of books I've got on Welsh castles is huge. Yeah, and I've concentrated on particularly Clun and Ludlow, which are 2 superb castles, and I think that anybody should go, if they've got an interest, go and have a look at them because they're wonderful.
Now, it's quite challenging to write a historical novel. How much research did you do prior to putting pen to paper?
Well, I did a huge amount of research, but then it's one of my passions is, as you've said, are castles and particularly history. And this one's based in 1400, just before Owain Glyndwr's rebellion. And that's where it came from. There's always troubles on borders, and this one is my part of Wales, the Shropshire-Montgomeryshire borders.
And I guess the main sort of thrust of the story is a relationship between a lowly person and a high-born person. Could you explain a little bit the story?
Well, I've made the villain Lord Grey of Ruthin, and that will continue in the next book.
All right.
And it was the way that Lord Grey just thought he could kill a Welshman with impunity, and that went on from the Statute of Wales. Welshmen weren't allowed to own weapons and all sorts of things. There were all sorts of restrictions put on Welshmen by the English Parliament, and yet, so there was a huge amount of resentment in Wales, and that's where the rebellion came from.
And it must have been very gratifying for you to write this book, because it was a chance for you to actually do something that you really feel passionate about.
I wrote it for myself, but I've been surprised by the feedback I've had from others, particularly other Welsh people who've read the book. The various people in the choir have had the book, and the feedback's been great.
That's brilliant. Who do you think the book will appeal to then? Is it a certain age or a person of certain interests, or is it very appealing to anybody that has an interest in history?
Well, I thought it was for young men who like to read books about wars and the sort of Bernard Cornwell Sharp type novel. But we were doing a concert at St Albans Cathedral, and the wife of one of the choir members came up and said she'd read the book, she really enjoyed it, and she was going to read it again, and she's 80 years old. Aww. So that sort of threw me, because I didn't think it was quite that wide, but obviously I'm wrong.
Fantastic. And you've kind of taken it a stage further as well in terms of your research, because I understand you've now got a talk about 4 of the castles featured in the book, and what are you going to kind of show in that talk?
Well, I'm going to talk about Ludlow, Clun, Dov Orwyn and Montgomery castles, because they are right on the border, and particularly Dor Vorwyn, which is one that most people probably won't have heard of and probably would find it very difficult to find. It looks out over, it was built by Llywelyn, and it looks right out over the Severn Valley.
Ooh.
But you can't see it. If you drive along the main road, you can't see it. Whereas Montgomery Castle is right on the ridge, and it's very easily seen. So yeah, there's the contrast between the different castles. And then you've got Clun, which is one I love. It was a Motte and Bailey castle, but it's the only Motte and Bailey castle in the country that has the stone tower actually built by the side of the motte rather than on top of it.
All right, okay.
So it's quite interesting.
Very interesting. So what are you most proud about the book?
Getting it published, I think that was writing it was fun.
Yes.
Getting it published was much harder.
So
that was the difficult bit.
Fantastic. So now it's available for people to read and enjoy. And
Yeah,
where can they get it from?
It's on various. If they go to the website edward-tudor.co.uk, there's links to both Author House, who are the publishers, and to Amazon. And it's probably better to get it from Amazon because I think it's cheaper there.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations on writing the book, because I know what a challenge it is to actually complete a book, and particularly you've included so much historical background in it and really conjured up a flavour of the time. So congratulations for that. That's Edward Tudor, author of this new book, A Message Delayed, Tales from the Welsh Marches. Thank you for watching.